1. One character in this story improvises a song about evil things that assail the monarch's high estate, titled The Haunted Palace. The appearance of an enshrouded figure frightens Roderick to death just before the title mansion bursts apart. For 10 points, what story have I entered?
All the House of Usher.
Correct. Bonus. In October 2015, the Dutch Safety Board released its final report on the crash of Flight 17, which was on its way from Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur in 2014. For 10 points each, the board found that the crash was caused by this general kind of object. Answer please.
Bomb.
Incorrect.
Bird.
Incorrect. Answer missile. Most believe that the missile was covertly provided to the Donbass People's Militia by this country and armed forces.
Russia.
Correct. Flight 17 was operated by this Asian airline.
I didn't think.
Malaysia Airlines.
Correct. Toss-up 2. An object's momentum squared divided by twice the object's mass gives this quantity.
Kinetic energy.
Correct. Power. Bonus. Silver atoms fired at detector screens were deflected by the presence of this vector field in the Stern-Gerlach experiment. For 10 points each, name this vector field that is produced by the flow of current.
I didn't think.
Magnetic field.
Correct. For a current-carrying wire, pointing a particular thumb in the direction of the current will make the fingers curl in the direction of the magnetic field according to this rule.
I didn't think.
Right hand rule.
Correct. Given the direction of a moving point charge in the direction of the magnetic field, the right-hand rule can be used to find the direction of this vector according to the Lorentz equation.
I didn't think.
Electric field.
Incorrect, Captain.
No answer.
Force. Toss-up 3. In one film, this character is asked to find a dwarf named Luke Riordan. Later, he discovers a machine that releases cyanide below the Palace of Westminster. In that movie, this man is played by Robert Downey Jr.
Sherlock Holmes.
Correct. Just out of time.
Oh no. That's how easy to do.
Bonus. For 10 points each, name these nemesis of Spider-Man. Both Norman Osborn and his son Harry have used this colorful moniker.
Green Goblin.
Correct. In the Dying Wish storyline, this villain swapped bodies with Spider-Man. More often, he is depicted as having several robotic arms.
Dr. Octopus.
Correct. This villain is the alter ego of Kurt Connors, the doctor who turned himself into a monster during an experimental attempt to restore his missing arm.
The Lizard.
Correct. Toss-up 4. In 1970, a holder of this title wrote a book titled For the Doctrine of Guardianship of the Jurist. A man with this religious title issued a fatwa against Salman Rushdie for writing the satanic verses. For 10 points, name this religious title held by Iranian clerk Ruhollah Khomeini.
Ali.
Incorrect. Time, Ayatollah. Toss-up 5. This city named the School of Composers that was led by Arnold Schoenberg. A composer from this city wrote a waltz titled Tales.
Vienna.
Correct. Power. Bonus. For 10 points each, answer the following about the zone of avoidance. The zone of avoidance is part of the night sky blocked by the plane of this galaxy.
Milky Way.
Correct. Richard Proctor observed that the zone of avoidance has especially few of these interstellar clouds of gas and dust. The planetary form of these clouds is ejected by a red giant.
Nebula.
Correct. Maffei 1 and Maffei 2, both in the zone of avoidance, were discovered because of their emission of this type of light with wavelengths longer than the visible light but shorter than radio waves.
England.
Correct. Toss-up 6. This state's Barn Bluff overlooks its city of Red Wing. The northern part of this state includes the Arrowhead region, which contains the Iron Range. This state is home to Lake Itasca, the source of the Mississippi River. The Mayo Clinic.
Minnesota.
Correct. Bonus. The first king of this country took that title in 1932, 7 years after he unified the Nejd with the Hejaz. For 10 points each, name this country first ruled by King Abdulaziz. In January 2015, Salman became its king upon the death of Abdullah. Answer please.
I didn't say Dolphin.
Saudi Arabia.
Correct. But the Arabic title for the king of Saudi Arabia mentions the two holy mosques in Medina, and in this holy city where the great mosque surrounds the Kaaba.
Mecca.
Correct. All kings of Saudi Arabia have prompted this form of Islam that arose in the 18th century and emphasizes strict obedience to unity and Sharia law.
Shia.
Incorrect. Captain.
No answer.
Wahhabism. Toss-up 7. Michel Foucault's The Order of Things begins with an analysis of this painting. A man stands in a doorway at the back of this painting, and two dwarfs stand on the right. It depicts a king and queen as they are being painted. For 10 points, name this painting by Diego Velázquez.
Las Vegas.
Correct. Bonus. This god angrily chopped off the head of his son, Ganesh, then fitted him for a new head borrowed from an elephant. 10 points each. Name this Hindu god of destruction who formed a trinity with the creator Brahma. Correct. This holy river in India traces its source to Shiva's hair, where its namesake goddess lands after falling from heaven.
Ganges.
Correct. In Norse mythology, Odin's son Hermod leapt across the river Gjol to travel to the underworld, where he failed to rescue this brother of Hoder, who was killed by a spear of mistletoe.
Balder.
Correct. Toss-up 8. Pencil and paper ready. Jocelyn needs to find the area of an annulus whose inner radius is 2 and outer radius is 5. Since an annulus is a disc formed...
21 past 30 minutes.
Correct. Howard. Bonus. Many pharmaceuticals are derived from plants. For 10 points each, the world's most widely consumed psychoactive drug is this drug harvested from coffee beans.
Caffeine.
Correct. Opium latex from poppies contain this drug that is used as a painkiller. Its derivatives include heroin.
Morphine.
Correct. Digoxin, which treats heart failure and comes from digitalis plant, increases intracellular concentrations of this ion found in gypsum.
Phosphate.
Incorrect, Captain.
Sodium.
Incorrect. Calcium. Toss-up 9. In this city, police officer Matthias Deegan was killed by a homemade bomb. The gun nicknamed this city Typewriter was used to kill members of Bugs Warren gang. St. Valentine's Day Massacre took place.
Chicago.
Correct. Bonus. This schism caused Cardinal Humbert and Patriarch Michael Serialarius to mutually excommunicate each other during a 1054 meeting. For 10 points each, name the schism between Catholicism and Eastern Orthodoxy that began in the 11th century.
Great Schism.
Correct. From the 11th century onward, the Eastern Orthodox Church was based in this capital of the Byzantine Empire.
Constantinople.
Correct. In Western Europe, the Great Western Schism began in the 14th century when a pope based in Rome challenged the legitimacy of a rival pope based in this city, today in southern France.
Avignon.
Correct. Toss-up 10, last of the half. An algebraic version of this statement is the absolute value of a sum must be less than or equal to the sum of the absolute values. A polygon cannot have sides with length 5, 5, and 15 because of, for 10 points, what inequality concerning the side lengths of a three-sided figure?
Triangle side inequality law.
Correct. Bonus. The first novel of this author's Prairie trilogy begins as Carl Lindstrom rescues Emil's kitten from the top of a telegraph pole. For 10 points each, name this author who wrote about Alexandra Bergson's management of a Nebraska farm in the novel O Pioneers.
Willa Cather.
Correct. Cather took the title O Pioneers from the poem Pioneers or Pioneers, which was written by this author who described the fallen leader in O Captain, My Captive Heart.
Walt Whitman.
Correct. Alexandra Bergson is an immigrant from this European country, which was also the homeland of the playwright August Strindberg. answer, please.
Slovakia.
Incorrect. Captain.
Germany.
Incorrect. Sweden.
Sweet, my bad.
Alright. I thought it was something specific.
If you all could write your school name on the back, just because.
Makes me feel better.
Yeah, we keep it. Okay.
So what were the scores?
160 and 1.
Okay, and I have a substitution. So I'm putting it in.
So the score right now is 340 to 165. Toss up 11. In a play by this man, the title character explains how her sister Liz convinced her to reject respectability and open a brothel. This author of Mr. Warren's Profession also wrote a play in which Henry Higgins teaches diction to Eliza.
Shaw.
Correct. Bonus. Pencil and paper ready. Basketball
thinking
team
the power
enters a
dogs instead of
16-team
these.
single elimination tournament and has a 2/3 chance of winning any given game. For 10 points each, what is the probability that the team wins the tournament? You have 10 seconds.
That is the exact.
16 over 81.
Correct. What is the probability that the team plays exactly 2 games?
That is the exact.
points.
Correct. What is the probability that the team plays their arch rival in the first round, assuming that the bracket is done via a random draw?
It is exact.
115.
Correct. Toss-up 12. Among the ports on the sea are Dalian, which lies on a northern arm called the Bohai Sea. Tianjin is another port on this sea, whose color is caused in part by deposits of silt it receives from the...
Yellow Sea?
Correct. Power. Bonus. This ruler instituted a policy of Roman Catholic persecution known as the Kulturkampf. For 10 points each, name this Iron Chancellor who gave the Blood and Iron speech before the Landtag.
Bismarck.
Correct. Bismarck led Prussia before becoming Chancellor of this nation, whose Reichstag parliament sat in Berlin.
Germany.
Correct. While Bismarck was Chancellor, Prussia defeated the forces of this emperor in 1870 to 1871 war. He was captured at the Battle of Sedan. Answer please.
Napoleon.
Incorrect.
Emperor Smith.
No, it says Napoleon III and not to accept Napoleon. Toss-up 13. Sufferers of this condition usually have pain at McBurney's point. It occurs when its namesake structure's outlet is blocked, sometimes by a feculent, necessitating the surgical removal of that structure. For 10 points,
Appendicitis.
correct, cover. Bonus. One poem by this author asserts that success is counted sweetest by those who near succeed. For 10 points each, name this reclusive 19th century poet. Most of her work was not published until after her death in 1886.
Dickinson.
Correct. Dickinson spent almost all of her life in this Massachusetts town, home to a liberal arts college whose alumni includes Calvin Coolidge. Answer please.
It is Belgium.
Incorrect. Incorrect. Amherst. Albert II, who is currently the monarch of this European principality, also attended Amherst College.
Monaco.
Correct. Toss-up 14. One woman of this name deposed Lady Jane Grey to take the throne and rule for 5 years before being succeeded by her half-sister.
Mary Tudor?
Correct. Copy. For 10 points each, answer the following about various locations in South America called Guyana or Guyana. Cayenne is the capital of Guyana that is controlled by this European nation. Its other overseas departments include Guadeloupe. Sorry.
Spain.
Incorrect.
France.
Correct. Dutch Guiana was a colony that became the small South American nation whose capital is Paramaribo. Answer please.
Belize.
Incorrect.
No answer.
Suriname. This nation, known simply as Guyana, gained independence from this former colonial power in the 20th century. Answer please.
Spain.
Incorrect.
Great Britain.
Correct. Toss-up 15. A series of novels named after this country contains camera eye sections depicting incidents from the life of the author John Dos Passos. The left-wing academic Howard Zinn wrote A People's History of...
The USA trilogy.
Correct. Bonus. Matsuo Basho is often considered a master of this type of poetry. For 10 points each, name this Japanese poetic form that contains 3 lines which are respectively made up of 5, 7, and 5 poetic units called on.
Haiku.
Correct. One of Basho's best-known haiku describes the sound of water made by one of these animals jumping into an old pond. An Aristophanes comedy is named after these amphibians.
Frogs.
Correct. A traditional haiku includes a seasonal reference, or kigu. Spring is often represented in haiku by these blossoms, which are called sakura in Japanese. Answer, please.
Deferred. Cherry blossom?
Correct. Toss-up 16. Mercury and arsenic become trapped in hair because they bind to this element. This element is added to rubber and vulcanization.
Sulfur.
Correct. Power. Bonus. They are composed of a nucleus, a comma, and a tail. For 10 points each, name these small icy bodies that come in long periods.
Comet.
Correct. Short period comets originate from this region of the solar system behind the orbit of Neptune. It ends
Kuiper belt.
Correct. In November 2014, the European Space Agency performed the first soft landing on a comet with this probe, which was launched by the Rosetta spacecraft.
How does it name?
Dawn.
Incorrect, Captain. Feli. Toss-up 17. This man argued that society consists of a base and a superstructure in the preface to a work about political economy. This man asserted that a specter is haunting Europe.
Marx.
Correct. Power. Bonus. In his book Primitive Rebels, the historian Eric Hobsbawm discussed the social type of these criminals. For 10 points each, name this type of robber exemplified by Jesse James. Slot machines are also called one-armed abuse.
Bandit.
Correct. In the early 20th century, a group known as the Congasso Bandits operated in the northeastern part of the South American country, that is now led by Gilma Rousseff.
Argentina.
Incorrect. Captain.
Brazil.
Correct. A raccoon named Bandit, which grew to weigh nearly 75 pounds and is thought to be the world's fattest raccoon, has a problem with this endocrine gland that metabolizes iodine.
Thyroid.
Correct.
Okay.
Toss-up 18. The forces of this emperor lost the battle of Teutoburg Forest. This man formed an alliance with.
Augustus.
Correct. How? Bonus. The subject of this poem is asked, what immortal hand or eye dare frame thy fearful symmetry? For 10 points each, name the 1794 poem in which the title animal.
The tiger.
Correct. This British poet included. The poem speaker wonders what shoulder could twist the sinews of this part of a tiger's body. Correct. Toss-up 19. A former prime minister of this nation was accused of corruption in a rice pledging scheme. That leader, Yingluck, was overthrown by the military in a May 2014 coup. For 10 points, name this Southeast Asian nation where in August 2015 a bomb exploded at a shrine in Bangkok.
Thailand.
Correct. Bonus. This island's province of Munster contains the city of Cork. For 10 points each, name this island north of the Celtic Sea, whose northern part includes the province of Ulster.
Ireland.
Correct. This city on the river Liffey is the capital of Ireland.
Dublin.
Correct. The city of Limerick is on this river, the longest in Ireland.
Shannon.
Correct. Toss-up 20, the last one. This object is said to be down in the title of a novel by John Steinbeck, while in Greek myth it was associated with the Titaness Thea. The taking of the Queen of Spades in all hearts in the card game Hearts is called shooting this. Correct. How? This taxonomic order is the largest order of mammals. For 10 points each, name this order of mammals that includes beavers, prairie dogs, and mice.
Rodentia.
Correct. This savanna-dwelling mammal native to South America is the world's largest rodent.
Capybara.
Correct. The third largest rodents after capybaras and beavers are these quill-bearing mammals that resemble but are unrelated to hedgehogs.
Porcupines.
Correct. That's the game.